Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us today in the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we'll be studying Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 60. Lord Kṛṣṇa Teases Queen Rukmiṇī. So please join us for the prayers. Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna. Tantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Janant Kori Vaishnavind ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So please join us in the recitation of the first verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 60, Lord Kṛṣṇa Teases Queen Rukmiṇī. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiryet
Tato Jayamudiryet
Shravtam Swakatha Krishna
Shraddham Swakatha Krishna
Punya Shavana Kirtanaha
Punya Shravana Kirtana
Hridayantasto Bhadrani
Vedantasto Bhadrani
Vidunoti Suhasatam
Vidunoti Suhatsatam
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavate Uttam Shloke
Bhagavate Ruttam Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhakti Naishtiki.
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 60, Verse 1. Shri Bhadrayani Uvacha
Shri Bhadrayana Vacha
Karhichit Sukham Asinam
Karhichit Sukham Ashinam
Swatalpastham Jagadgurum
Swatalpastham Jagadgurum
Patim Paryacharat Bhashmi
Patim Paryacharat Bhashmi
Vyajanena Sakhi Janahe.
Vyajanena Sakhi Jane
Please.
Shri Bhadrayani Vacha
Shri Bhadrayanir Uvacha
Karhichit Sukhamasinam
Karhichit Sukhamasinam
Swatalpastham Jagadgurum
Swatalpastham Jagadgurum
Patim Paryacharat Bhashmi
Patim Paryacharat Bhashmi
Vyajanena Sakhi Jane
Vyajanena Sakhi Janehe. Shri Bhadrayani Uvacha. Shri Bhadrayani.
Shri Bhadrayani Vach. Okay.
Shukdev Goswami, the son of Bhadrayana Vyasdev.
Shukdev Goswami, the son of Bhadrayana Vyasdev,
Uvacha
Uvacha
said,
said,
Karhichit,
Karhichit,
on one occasion,
on one occasion,
Sukham,
Sukham,
comfortably,
comfortably,
Asinam,
Asinam,
sitting, Swa,
Swa,
on her, Talpa,
Talpa,
bed,
Stham,
situated, Jagat, of the universe, Gurum, the spiritual master, Patim, her husband, Paryacharat, served, Bhashmi, Rukmiṇī, Vyajanena, by fanning, Sakhi Janahe, together with her female companions. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shri Bhadrayani said, once in the company of her maidservants, Queen Rukmiṇī was personally serving her husband, the spiritual master of the universe, by fanning him as he relaxed on her bed. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti poetically notes that in this chapter, Rukmiṇī Devi is like fragrant camphor crushed on the grinding stone of Lord Krishna's speech. In other words, the lovely, chaste qualities of Rukmiṇī will become manifest as a result of Lord Krishna's apparently insensitive words, just as camphor's fragrance becomes manifest when granules of camphor are crushed by a grinding stone. The Acharya further points out that Rukmiṇī is personally serving the Lord because he is Jagadgurum, the spiritual master of the universe, and Patim, her husband. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, where Lord Krishna is glorifying himself, the unique glories of Queen Rukmiṇī through this conversation. And sometimes the conclusion is on a high note. So he is actually concluding this chapter, and Acharyas are giving their commentaries, especially near the end of this chapter. Yet at the same time, when Shukdev Goswami is speaking this to Parikshit Maharaj, when he is speaking Śrīmad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, especially in this particular chapter, he brings this chapter right after the 16,108 queens. They are there, right? And Lord Krishna is residing with each queen individually. And to be able to understand the glories of this chapter, because the amazing glories of this chapter is one who hears with open heart and understanding the glories of Queen Rukmiṇī gets bestowed by the pure love of Godhead. So to be able to get that, to be able to relish the sweet pastime, we have to set the mood right? We have to be in the right mindset. And all we need to do is open our ears and open our heart and attentively hear this pastime. And how this pastime is glorified even by the Vaishnavas, because Vaishnavas, they love to hear, and relish Lord Krishna's pastimes. These transcendental pastimes are, much above. So we should not try to even compare or even think that these are just general dealings of husband and wife. These are the transcendental dealings of Lord Krishna with his most loved queen in Dwarka, Queen Rukmiṇī. And he's referring to her as princess because she is daughter of, the king of Vidarbha, and so Vaidarbhi is her another name, and he's calling her Bhashmi because her father's name is Bhishmak. So the daughter of Bhishmak is shortened as Bhashmi. And to be able to get into the right mood, we have to understand how this pastime has been so glorified earlier as well. So once upon a time, there lived an ardent devotee of Lord Shri Krishna. His name was Punthanam. And he used to worship Guru Vayorappan, Lord Shri Krishna, with his heart and soul. So he was constantly meditating. And people loved to hear his Bhagavatam discourses. Now in North Kerala, there is a temple at Kottayur. So this is Lord Shiva is the significant deity at this temple. So Punthanam would go there. So this temple is only open for a short period of time, just few days every year. And there are no human activities for the remaining part of the year. So it would open up, people would go worship Lord Shiva, and then they would come back. So Punthanam, he goes to Kottayur, and he had his dearest Bhagavatam along with him when he would do that. So Punthanam would go there, and he's again by his example showing that when we go to a pilgrimage, the first thing we should do is purify ourselves internally and externally. So externally purification is by taking baths. So that normally the pilgrimage spots, all the dhams are at the bank of river. Just like Vrindavan, Yamuna flows through there. Prabhas, Ganges and Yamuna both flow through there. So here Punthanam, he takes bath and then he goes after, being pure. And of course, how do you internally purify yourself? Just by chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he provides us in his very first verse of Shishashtakam, Cheto Darpanamajanam. So this is where the dust that has been accumulated on our heart for hundreds of thousands and millions of births, that is washed away by the chanting of the holy name. So one of the characteristics that it is most purifying of all that is there, Lord's holy name. So here Punthanam, he goes to Kottayur, takes bath, and then comes to the temple and he is reciting Bhagavatam. and people are relishing his discourses. So he starts with this chapter 60 of 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Kṛṣṇa teases his Queen Rukmiṇī. And so after completing his discourse, he places the bookmark near the end of the chapter, so that next day when he starts his discourse, he will start with the next chapter, chapter 61. Next day when he comes back, what does he see? When he opens the book, the bookmark is at the beginning of chapter 60. So he again starts his discourse and completes his discourse with the full recitation of chapter 60. Lord Shri Krishna teases his Queen Rukmiṇī, and he completes his discourse by completing the chapter and places his bookmark at the end. And then, hoping to start the next chapter the very next day. And next day when he comes, what does he see again? He is seeing that the bookmark has been placed at the beginning of the chapter 60. Lord Kṛṣṇa teases his Queen Rukmiṇī. Puzzled, but taking it as an order of the providence, order of Lord Shri Krishna, he continues to do this every day. So this happened every day. And finally, the last day when he finishes his discourse, he prepares to leave, and he has traveled a significant distance when traveling from the temple, and suddenly he remembers that he forgot Srimad Bhagavatam back at the temple. So now he turns back, and because Srimad Bhagavatam is his life and soul, it's very dear. So Srimad Bhagavatam is not different from Lord Shri Krishna. So he comes back to the temple, but the temple gates are locked, the doors are shut and locked. However, he is able to hear something. What does he hear? He hears that someone is reciting Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto chapter 60, and how Lord Krishna is teasing Queen Rukmiṇī. So, not able to see what is there, finally he is able to see the keyhole, so he is peeking through the keyhole. Who is it that's reciting? Who is reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam? What does he see? He sees that his Srimad Bhagavatam is open, and Lord Shiva himself is reciting this chapter 60. Lord Kṛṣṇa teases Queen Rukmiṇī. And he is amazed. And he is constantly, mesmerized, seeing how Lord Shiva is nicely giving a discourse on this chapter. And he is reading the chapter 60 as how Lord Krishna is teasing Queen Kunti, how Queen Kunti is feeling her mood as she is hearing Lord Krishna teasing her, and how Lord Krishna reciprocates, understanding what was her real mood, and how Queen Kunti, Queen Rukmiṇī, she is feeling that Lord has been so harsh, yet at the same time she didn't say anything, and then Lord is pacifying her. And when Lord pacifies her, her power of reasoning as if it has returned, and she is feeling enlivened. And now she is giving a response to how Lord was teasing, in a way by revealing the truth, the supreme truth, the transcendental truth to Lord Shri Krishna. And how Lord Shri Krishna is so pleased by her response that he, further glorifies her and says that she is the most beloved of his among all the queens in Dwarka, 16,108 queens, his wives. And so, this is where this chapter ends. That's the gist of this chapter. And when Lord Shiva finishes his discourse, finishes the chapter 60, he turns to Goddess Parvati and he says, "So Devi, what do you think?" Right? So, Goddess Parvati responds, "Oh Mahadev, it was very nice, but not as nice as Punthanam. The way Punthanam describes it, it's not as nice as his." And Lord Shiva says, "Exactly. That is why every day when Punthanam finishes his discourse, I would put the bookmark at the beginning of the chapter, move it from the end of the chapter to the beginning of the chapter." And when Punthanam heard this, when he was seeing it and hearing this, when he heard this, he is immediately started in surprise chanting Lord Krishna's name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He's perplexed. And you can imagine, when Lord Shiva is chanting, when he is giving a discourse on Srimad Bhagavatam, all the Bhutganas in the temple are all around, right? He's Bhutnath. So all his followers are the ghosts, the goblins, and hobgoblins, and witches and so forth. So these are his followers. And they are listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna is glorifying Punthanam. Hearing his name coming from Lord Shiva's mouth, Lord Shiva is glorifying Punthanam. So hearing his name, he is, surprised. And he is saying, what is this? Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava. He is Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. And how can he say that I am better than him? Of course, this is a humble state of a devotee. Yet at the same time, it helps us to get to the mood for us to discuss this particular chapter, that the chapter is so glorious that Lord Shiva wants to hear it again and again, especially from another devotee. And also he is setting us an example. So there are many examples just in this story where even the topmost Vaishnavas are eager to hear a discourse on this chapter. They relish this chapter. So that is the moral of this story, is that even the Paramhamsas are eager to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, because it talks about the transcendental pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna and his devotees. It describes in an easy way how to carry out the instructions that Lord Krishna spoke in Bhagavad Gita. So in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna reveals to Arjuna what should be done. But he has not yet revealed how it should be done. He has revealed not on the devotional service, but on Ashtanga Yoga and other factors. And then afterwards, he discards all of them by saying, Sarva dhammam parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. So here, Lord Krishna is showing in Srimad Bhagavatam, means again, Vyasadeva has written Srimad Bhagavatam on the instruction of Devashi Narad. And this Srimad Bhagavatam contains the glories of Lord Shri Krishna and his devotees. Why are his devotees discussed? Sometimes people say, oh, we just want to hear about Lord Shri Krishna. We don't want to hear how others serve Lord Krishna. Well, when you hear about Lord Krishna, the devotees become happy. They experience transcendental bliss. Tushyanti charamanti cha. And when you hear about the transcendental pastimes of his devotees, then Lord Krishna becomes happy. He experiences transcendental bliss. And of course, of all the devotees in Dwarka, Queen Rukmiṇī is being glorified by Lord Krishna himself. So this chapter becomes even more sweeter than before. So till now we heard how Lord Krishna married, Queen Rukmiṇī, how he married Jamvati, Satyabhama, the 5 princesses and 16,100 princesses. But this chapter has been pushed ahead of time because it happened much later. Queen Rukmiṇī is much mature, and she has grown-up sons. So even though it happened not in the chronological order, it has been brought here to bring this essence out to Parikshit Maharaj. Shukdev Goswami is describing this pastime to Parikshit Maharaj so that he can relate to it, that these are transcendental pastimes. Now, a fight between husband and wife, they are generally on the level of, mundane in this material world, and sometimes driven by lust, right? Grahamedhis, when they fight, then they are fighting in this material lust. And in Vedic society, in Vedic culture, there is no room for divorce or separation. When you marry, actually, during the fire sacrifice at the marriage arena, so when this Vivaha Vidhi is being performed, the process of marriage is being performed, and 2 personalities, 2 living entities are married together, then they are married for 7 births. So you can imagine, so for 7 lives they are saying that they would like to be married. So that is Vedic culture. And in Vedic culture, there is no divorce. Yet at the same time, many examples come as people get bewildered. Once Srila Prabhupada, he received a letter from his disciple and the disciple was saying, asking for permission to, separate from his wife. And Srila Prabhupada, after reading this chapter, this letter, he meditated on it and he responded that yes, go ahead. So his secretary was perplexed, and other devotees, his disciples, were perplexed. They were saying, but Srila Prabhupada, you said that there is no divorce in Vedic culture. So how could you even grant that? So Srila Prabhupada said, even if I had said no, he would have divorced his wife. However, if I had said no and he had gone against my instruction, then it would have been a Guru Avagya. It's also one of the Nama Prans. And that would have been a much bigger offense than divorcing his wife. So I wanted to be compassionate towards him, to say, okay, you can go ahead, because he was going to do it nevertheless. He would not have stopped. So this is where Srila Prabhupada is showing that when he is writing your ever well-wisher at the end of each of his letter, he really means it with his heart and soul. He is our ever well-wisher. And so he translated Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chitta Chaitamrita, and all these scriptures for the benefit of human society. So this Bhagavatam that we read, we are able to get into the depth because here Srila Prabhupada gave his discourses in the form of his purports. And his disciples followed his instructions in giving their discourses from Canto 10, Chapter 14 onwards. Because after that, Srila Prabhupada wasn't there. However, he mercifully had already translated and given his purports in Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead book. So right then and there, we have amazing insights coming from this chapter. So let's quickly cover the chapter as we capture some of the essential aspects. So when we read and study this chapter, we should understand it from the transcendental pastimes perspective and try to get the lessons that are hidden in this chapter. So Lord Shri Krishna, he is in the, he's resting on the bed in the palace of Queen Rukmiṇī. And Queen Rukmiṇī, along with many of her maidservants, are serving Lord Shri Krishna. And Queen Rukmiṇī takes the charmer, right, the yak tail based fan with a golden handle. So, and then she is fanning Lord Shri Krishna. And the environment is beautiful. Now, the description of the palace is described, that there are many canopies with, pearl laces, laces strung with pearl. And to, light up this palace, precious jewels have been installed at various places. So it is not the light that we see, not the bulb, but jewels have this potency to absorb light and then emit it out. So that's what has been used to make the whole environment bright. The wind, the breeze is very soothing and flowing, and there is the fragrance of jasmine and parijat flowers. So that's coming in as well. We heard about how parijat flower was given to Queen Rukmiṇī by Devashi Narad earlier, and how Satyabhama, she got parijat tree just outside her palace in her garden, which happened to be very close to Queen Rukmiṇī's garden. So the breeze was bringing in the fragrance from that. And because of the fragrance and the flowers in Queen Rukmiṇī's garden itself, there were a lot of bees, they were humming. So there was a music, there was subtle music happening because of all the flow of the breeze and all the movements. And Queen Rukmiṇī, what is she doing? She is herself serving Lord Shri Krishna. So she has hundreds of thousands of maidservants. And those maidservants are taking care of other things, but she takes this charmer and she herself is serving Lord Shri Krishna. Well, Lord Shri Krishna, he puts his head resting on the pillow. Now, it is described that the mattress is covered by a white bed sheet, which is as white as milk, the foam of milk. And the pillow is also as white as the foam of milk. Means it is really white, spotless white. And in such a nice setting, Lord Shri Krishna, he is appreciating how she is serving him. And all the queens, not just Queen Rukmiṇī, but all the queens of Lord Shri Krishna would personally serve, as we covered in the last chapter, last lesson yesterday, that they would personally serve Lord Shri Krishna because they would relish transcendental bliss that they would experience by serving Lord Shri Krishna. So Lord Shri Krishna is also known as Rishikesha, master of the senses. So when we serve the master of the senses, all our senses are automatically satisfied. And of all the queens, Queen Rukmiṇī, she serves Lord Shri Krishna with such devotion. Yet at the same time, she sees that Lord Shri Krishna spends all his time with her. So he is constantly paying attention because she is constantly paying attention. Right? That's the mood of a devotee. So the devotee is worshipping Lord with such a passion, with such a dedication, considering him to be life and soul, that Lord would want to be with the devotee. So this has been, this is a reciprocation of Lord Shri Krishna. And he is behaving as if just like a common man, living in the dynasty, as appearing in the dynasty of Yadus, and living in Dwarka just like a common inhabitant of Dwarka. And Lord Shri Krishna is smiling. Yet at the same time, he is thinking that when Satyabhama saw that Queen Rukmiṇī got this Parijat flower from Devashi Narad, she became envious. And she even made a demand that she also needs a Parijat flower, and not just Parijat flower. She will only be satisfied when she gets the whole tree of Parijat flowers. And so, in the previous chapter, we covered how Lord Shri Krishna gets her the whole tree of Parijat flowers, the Parijat tree. And Satyabhama was satisfied. Now he was thinking, then Queen Rukmiṇī might be feeling that, Satyabhama has got this. So maybe I should tease her to incite this, provoke her to become, to show some tendencies like in quarrel or in demanding mood or even sometimes rebuking mood. So he's trying to provoke. And Lord is trying to provoke his devotees to go against him. This is interesting, right? Because generally husbands are in the mood of always keeping their wife happy. So that, a happy home, a happy wife is happy life, is a common formula in this material world. Yet at the same time, devotees who are grahasthas, they consider their wife as Vaishnavis. And they are always cautious not to commit an offense, towards a Vaishnava or Vaishnavi. So that's how a devotee thinks of their wife, while in material world, conditioned soul thinks of their wife as something that they would enjoy and someone who is made to, serve them. And there is a trade going on. That's why the quarrel in material world starts with divorce or separation, or start telling that how bad the other person is. And Lord Krishna is saying that is the wrong mood. When he is starting his conversation with Rukmiṇī Devi, he is actually identifying that when there is, even if one person is upset or one person is trying to incite something, they should not be in a mood of blaming. Rather, and of course now with so many psychologists and therapists, they have realized that instead of identifying how bad the other person is and calling them names, it's better to express how you are feeling. Right? So again, and grahasthas are much above this mundane interaction. Grahasthas who are devotees of Lord Shri Krishna consider their wives and their children as gift of Lord Shri Krishna, as Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who have appeared in their lives, and how can they encourage them to go further in their spiritual journey. And this is where satsang can happen even in COVID-19, just in your home environment. All you need to do is open Srimad Bhagavatam and start reading with the family and start discussing the purports, because these purports that we read in Srimad Bhagavatam are Srila Prabhupada's transcendental ecstasies. And in Krishna book, he has given his purports at length. So even, Srila Sridhar Swami has provided his purports as well. Those have been discussed in these purports. the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that has been discussed as well. Jiva Goswami's commentaries have been discussed. So at length, so many acharyas are providing us such insightful way of understanding this transcendental literature, which is Amal Purana, right? And this is the ripened fruit of all the Vedant philosophy, of all the Vedic knowledge that exists. So here, Lord Shri Krishna, he recites with this mood to tease Queen Rukmiṇī. He is saying, first he says is that, my dear princess, and he is calling her Vaidarbhi. Vaidarbhi is, she is daughter of King Bhishmaka, who is the king of Vidarbha. So he is making her understand what her position had been previously. And now he is saying that I am not at all suited for you. There were these great, powerful, handsome, strong kings who were there, ready to marry her. And Shishupal, was identified as her groom. And even her father and her brother, Rukmiṇī, King Bhishma, her father, and her brother Rukmiṇī had approved of this marriage. Yet at the same time, why would you choose me? Lord Krishna is saying, So this is first place where he is actually glorifying those other kings and princes who were there, and Queen Rukmiṇī had already seen them. Yet at the same time, why did she choose Lord Shri Krishna? So he is inciting. And Queen Rukmiṇī is simply fanning Lord Shri Krishna as she is hearing this. And then he goes to the next step. He says that you chose them, you saw them while you only heard about us. You had not even seen us. And we are not as beautiful, as powerful as those kings are. We are not even in the same category as those kings are. Rather, Lord Krishna is revealing that he was so afraid of Jarasandha that he ran away and took shelter in the ocean. And so he is hiding in the ocean away from all these kings. And seeing that he has given such wonderful explanation, but Queen Rukmiṇī has not shown any reaction. So, sometimes when you try to provoke someone, and if you pinch them a little and they don't respond, then you pinch them a little more, right? So Lord Krishna is doing that. So next level, he goes even further. He's saying, you had only heard about us. Yet at the same time, who am I? People don't even know my identity. I myself don't know my identity, who I am. And, people generally consider that I am as a cowherd boy, was hiding in Vrindavan under the care of my foster parents, Yashoda and Nand Maharaj. And so there I was hiding, afraid from all these. Kansa was sending so many demons, so I was afraid of all these kings and so forth. And that's how I have lived. And I haven't had anything, even though Nand Maharaj had hundreds of thousands of cows, I did not own even one. Rather, I was engaged in the service of taking care of these cows. So we know that Lord Krishna, in Golok Vrindavan, he is always engaging in serving the cows. Surbhi abhipalayantam. Yet at the same time, the next phrase is Lakshmi Shahastra Shata Sambramya Sevyamanam. We are hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis, the gopis are serving Lord Krishna with love and devotion. So that's the next phrase. He's not touching that, he's touching the first one. That I have, my identity is not very clear. Sometimes people, they say I'm son of Vasudev, who is a Kshatriya, but I'm hiding in Vrindavan. So sometimes people say I'm a cowherd boy, because Chaturvarna Maya Shishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. So even though the birth is from a Kshatriya father, I am hiding in Vrindavan, and my guna and karma are like that of a Vaishya person, like of a mercantile person taking care of the cows. Surbhi abhipalayantam. So he is actually putting himself on a lower pedestal, Lord Krishna, saying that maybe this would provoke her. Then even that is not there, so he goes to the next step. So the third step he takes further is by saying that person like me, I have a very unreliable character. Just look at it, that all these gopis and the gopa boys, everybody loved me, yet at the same time I left them. So I'm not interested in any wife, children and property. So Srila Prabhupada uses the word vagabond. So Lord Krishna is saying that I am a vagabond, and why would you like to be married to such a vagabond? Rather, you should be married to one of those kings, the valiant kings, the powerful, famous. These are kings so powerful that they could be the kings of whole planet. So you can imagine, Lord Krishna is provoking her. And he is saying that you should leave me. Still, not major harm has been done. You still have a long life ahead of you. Now, even this is not helping, right? She is not provoked. So Lord Krishna takes that next step by saying that, you are a princess, and as a princess, you have to also worry about how your next birth, your future birth, how this life you would be happy and how you would be happy in your next life. And if you're married to these kings, so again, I'm further expanding from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, he's identifying that Lord Krishna is saying that if you were married to these kings have so much opulence that they could be engaged in so many austerities, charities and sacrifices. You go to yagyas, opulently and all that. So they will get great, amazing, next birth, maybe as demigods and so forth. And that would mean that you would also get the same opulences. So maybe you should think about your next life, because being married to a cowherd boy who is now hiding in Dwarka in ocean, it may not lead to such a good benefit. And then he further says that if you stay with me, so this is like he's really pushing her. He's really hurting by saying that if you're married to me, Lord Krishna is saying to Queen Rukmiṇī, then you would be crying just like those gopis. Those gopis, ever since I have left, and I have heard from Akrura and Uddhav, that ever since I left, they are crying in my separation. Even my father and mother. So he's showing how hard-hearted he is. That even my father and mother, Nand Maharaj and Yashoda Bhai, they are constantly in separation. They are weeping, remembering me. Yet here I am, in living a nice, opulent city life. So in the beginning, when this started, Srila Sridhar Swami, he compares the opulence of Dwarka versus the opulence of Vrindavan. Because, and Srila Prabhupada reveals in Krishna book as well, that the Vrindavan setting is very rural setting, right? While in Dwarka, it is very opulent, Aishwarya Bhav is there. While in Vrindavan, Madhurya Bhav is there. So those two bhavs also reflect on the way a materialist would look. They would look at a rural setting, not much, a lot of trees and flowers and that kind of an environment. Out here in Dwarka, palaces made up of gold, beds, are the rubies and other precious stones, sapphires and all that, bedecked nicely and beautiful, settings and so forth, and so many servants in such an opulent manner serving and worshipping Lord Shri Krishna. So Lord Shri Krishna is continuing to do this, and then he says that not much has happened. Even now you should just leave me. And now at that time, Queen Rukmiṇī, her state is that as if Lord wants to leave me. That's what he's talking. He wants to be separated from me. Hearing this, and all this time as Lord Krishna is saying, she's constantly crying. Because she cannot bear the thought that Lord Krishna is, about to leave me. He wants himself to be separated, so he is putting it in the other way. This is another way. Sometimes in mundane world, we see the breakups happening and people say, it's not you, it's me. So Lord Krishna is doing that, but in a transcendental form. And he's not doing any breakup. He's actually trying to tease Queen Rukmiṇī. He's trying to tease Queen Rukmiṇī so that he gets some reaction, some response. And the reaction and response he's seeing is that she's constantly crying, and she's wetting her eyes and her face, and it's wetting her clothes, and she's wearing this beautiful silk sari, and Queen Rukmiṇī at this time seeing and hearing all these factors, and that how Lord Krishna is saying that he is, and further, Lord Krishna also said that he just wanted to teach a lesson to all these demoniac kings, Jarasangh, Shishupal, Dantwakra, Shalva, and so forth. So that's why he married her. And now he's saying that he wants to be separated from her. But putting it in the other way, that it's not you, it's me. And hearing this and feeling that Lord Krishna wants to be separated from me, she feels that all her energy is drained out of her body. And she just falls down. And as soon as she is falling down, Lord Krishna immediately comes in his four-arm Murti form and he picks it up. Lord Vasudeva picks her up. He caresses her face with his hand and holds her close. So Bhakta Vatsala. So this is where Lord Krishna understands what her mood is. And as she is feeling the touch of Lord Shri Krishna, it's like as if her soul is coming back into her body. So she is feeling as if she is coming back to her consciousness. And at that time, Lord, who is expert, Lord Vasudeva, who is an expert pacifier, he pacifies very nicely. While he says in various statements that I do not know how to behave aristocratically. I'm not a very good person who knows how to follow various etiquettes and manners of the kingly personalities and the kingly environment. In Aishwarya Bhav, that's what he's revealing. Yet at the same time, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he's an expert. He doesn't really need Uddhava, but he engages Uddhava as his advisor, as a devotee. He gives that service to Uddhava. So that's the mood of Lord Shri Krishna, Lord Vasudeva. And he picks her up, keeps her close in her arms, and then he says, he pacifies her, that actually you should never be worried about me ever leaving you or our separation. And then now he is glorifying her, that of you are, the most dear of all the queens. And now feeling that Lord is pacifying her, she comes back to her consciousness, and now she understands that Lord wants to hear the reason. So Queen Rukmiṇī was, she was a Kshatrani, and yet she had very good capabilities of providing reasoning. So she starts to reason back with Lord Shri Krishna. She says, yes, you are right. You're saying that we are not suitable for each other because you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Well, I am just a entity, right? I am a mundane person, she is actually glorifying, but she is none other than an expansion of the goddess of fortune. So she is Radharani's expansion, Chandravali's expansion. So she is saying that, who am I compared to you? You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you are being served by so many devotees. I am just one of them. And so how can we be suitable? Yet at the same time, I feel that your devotion is all life and soul to me. It's all in all for me. So that's her mood. And now then she is giving the reason when Lord Krishna said that he had run away from Jarasangh and was hiding in the ocean. He says, yes, you in your form as Vishnumurti are in the ocean. Right? So Lord Vishnu is, on the ocean. So Garbhodakshai Vishnu is on Garbhodak ocean on Anant Shesh. Shirodakshai Vishnu is in Shiro ocean on Anant Shesh. Karanodakshai Vishnu is residing on Karan ocean on Anant Shesh. So she is revealing that yes, as Vishnu form, you are in the ocean. And then Acharyas reveal that she is also saying that he is in the ocean of the heart of his devotees. And that ocean is an ocean of love. So you can imagine how beautiful, poetic this metaphor is, where Lord is residing in the heart of his devotees, resting on the ocean of love, which is filling the heart of a devotee, Lord's devotee. And he is residing as overseer and permitter in his Paramatma form, super soul, as super soul. Then he is saying, when he said that his identity is unknown, even to him, she is saying, yes, your glories are unlimited. So this Sridhar Swami, he explains further, and Srila Prabhupada explains in Krishna book that Lord's glories are unlimited. So of course nobody can know him, not even Lord Shri Krishna. Ananta Shesh with his unlimited, he is speaking the glories of Lord Krishna, but he is not able to finish. For unlimited time, he has been, since unlimited time, eternity, he has been singing the glories, but as soon as he comes even close, Lord expands his name, form, activities, pastimes. So his glories are unlimited and his pleasure potencies are constantly expanding. So how can anybody know him? He is all in all. And there is no comparison between those kings and Lord Shri Krishna when he is saying that those kings who are my enemies, they are all my enemies, because Lord Krishna says that Jarasandha, Dantavakra, Shishupal, Sharva, so all these kings, they are my enemies. Then she says, who are the enemies in this material world? These are the three modes of material nature. And yes, you are away from them in the ocean because you are their Lord, you are the master of the three modes of material nature. Devi Haisha Gudamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. So Lord Krishna reveals in Bhagavad Gita that this material energy of mine, so he is saying, is mine. So he is the Lord of material energy. Gudamayi, which is made up of the three modes of material nature, which is the supervisor of the three modes of material nature. Mama Maya Duratya is very hard to overcome. Mamevye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. But those who surrender unto me can easily cross over it, this material nature, which is like an ocean. So she is saying that these three modes of material nature, the mode of goodness, mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. So Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, and Tamo Guna. These three modes are the kings in this material world. And you are their master, so you are not under the modes of material nature, rather they are under your control. You are the controller. And then she says, who are these kings? Well, actually, the kings in this material world are the senses, which are influenced by these various modes. Yet at the same time, you are the master of the senses. You are not influenced by the senses, rather you are the master of the senses, as Hrishikesha. So you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as master of the senses, master of the material nature, and master of all that resides. Bhoktaram Yagatapsam Sarvalok Maheshwaram. Sarvalok Maheshwaram is the supreme proprietor of all the material and spiritual universes. So she is giving such wonderful reasoning, and Acharya has explained so nicely, that she is explaining that Lord Krishna is the cause of all causes, and so of course, he is not under the influence of these kings who are appearing as the three modes of material nature or the senses. Then she is glorifying that when Lord Krishna says that these kings, they don't, they deride Lord Krishna, they don't really submit to Lord Krishna, then she says, yes, that is the nature. If someone is rich, Srila Prabhupada explains in Krishna book, that if someone is rich or someone is born in an aristocratic family or in a high birth or has beauty, so Janmashwarya Shutashibhi Redhamana Madhapuma Nevahatya Viddhatum Vai Twam Kinchana Gocharam. Queen Kunti, she prays that one who has Janma, high birth, Ashwarya, born with a lot of opulence, in a family that is very aristocratic and rich, Shruta, one who is very learned, Shibhi, one who is very beautiful. So if one has any of these four qualities, one can become proud, Madhapuman, one can be, become proud by having any one of these qualities, could make someone proud. And in that state, a proud person cannot approach the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. Naivarhatya vidhatum vai tvam akinchana gocharam. So they cannot approach you properly. Queen Kunti prays. So Queen Rukmiṇī is revealing it to her husband and the spiritual master of the universe, Lord Shri Vasudeva, that these kings and rich people, they become very proud. So of course they are not able to approach you because they do not understand your transcendental glories. They deride you thinking that you are a common man. Now the very interesting aspect is right here, I want to pause and identify, is where she is glorifying Lord Shri Krishna. She is actually providing us that great insight as how devotees look at Lord Shri Krishna. While Lord Shri Krishna, the reasons he gave is how sometimes even materialists, even some who are scholars, their intelligence has been driven away by the material energy, trying to deride Lord Shri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Queen Rukmiṇī continues to glorify Lord Shri Krishna. that, yes, I had just heard your glories, and all your devotees, they are also just like you. You have no interest in riches, you have no interest in these qualities. You don't look at me, look at my beauty or my qualification, rather you look at my bhav. So this is the mood of a devotee. That the devotee knows that Lord does not care how much we have, how rich we are. Lord doesn't care how beautiful we look. Lord doesn't care, how young or old we are. Lord doesn't care even if we are man, woman, or old man or a child. He doesn't care of any of those things. Lord doesn't care which varna we are born in. So she's identifying to Lord Shri Krishna that you don't care about all those external factors. Rather, you're looking at the bhav, right? Lord Krishna is reciprocating the way we approach him. Ye yathamam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyam. As one approaches me, I reciprocate accordingly. So as one surrenders unto the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, as one renders devotional service with love and gratitude and humility, Lord reciprocates accordingly with that love. And if we take one step towards Krishna, Krishna takes 10 steps towards us. So Queen Rukmiṇī is, defeating all the aspects that Lord Krishna is revealing to her. So when we hear, it actually instills the blessing of fearlessness in the heart of devotees. So this bestows us with fearlessness, that when we take shelter of Lord Shri Krishna, that everything is safe. And these are the incredible and inconceivable potencies of Lord Shri Krishna that she is glorifying back to Lord Shri Krishna. So she is saying that yes, your devotees are also like you. You have no interest in these riches and so forth, because you are the master of the senses, you are the supreme proprietor. Your devotees also are not attached to the riches and all these factors. Rather, they are engaged in serving you with love and devotion. So that is the mood of a devotee she is explaining. And that her pride has already been crushed in the very early stage when Lord Krishna started. So she had some pride, and Lord Krishna doesn't like his devotees to be proud at all. And Queen Rukmiṇī's pride was that she felt that Lord Krishna spends all his time with her. So she became proud of thinking that Lord Krishna is spending all his time with me, so I must be very important. Sometimes devotees get this feeling, but Lord doesn't want his devotees to feel any pride at all, because that would become a hurdle in a service. So the mood of a devotee is tranadapi shunichena tarurapi saishana. Be always humble, thinking of oneself as always humbler than the grass and more tolerant than the tree. In that mode, we can continue to serve Lord Shri Krishna eternally. So, Queen Rukmiṇī is glorifying Lord Shri Krishna in this way, that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is the most suitable. And that's why, just by hearing his glories and understanding that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he had given her heart to him and had not paid any attention to any of these kings. Now she starts, Lord had glorified Jarasandha, Shishupal, Dantavakra. Now she starts beating that argument, that women who have not heard Lord Krishna's glories, Lord Vasudev's glories, they would be, serving these kings. But if one has heard, they would not look at these kings at all. And these kings, Lord Krishna has also said one thing, that if you had accepted Shishupal, then he would have followed you as a servant, followed Queen Rukmiṇī as a servant all his life. And this is where we can think of previous birth, where Shishupal appeared as Ravan. Rukmiṇī Devi was Sita Mata, and Lord Krishna appearing as Lord Ramchandra. There, Ravan was trying to pacify Sita Mata, who was in his Ashok Vatika in his garden, and he had abducted her, he had kidnapped her, and she had not rejected him, and yet at the same time he was waiting that somehow she accepts me, and he was trying to do everything to please her. He was even ready to put his prime queen, as second. So he was trying to say that, you will be the main queen and I will serve you like a servant. So Lord Krishna is revealing that in this pastime, that if you had married Shishupal, he would have served you all his life as a servant. And then she is defeating this statement by saying that who are these kings? These kings, they have these mundane bodies, and these bodies are made up of bunch of skin covering on top of the muscles, and it's filled with blood and stool and urine, which is abominable, and it's being enjoyed. These things are being enjoyed by worms and various type of viruses, bacteria. That's what she is referring to. So our bodies is a host of so many other abominable beings, and that they have this hair on their faces, like beard and mustache. They have this hair on their body, all over their bodies. They have nails on their fingers, and then they have, hair on their head. And she's identifying that people, they try to take care of these external factors, to look beautiful, right? And, to kind of like get the pedicure and manicure and so many other things, and then go to the parlor and try to become something that they are not. So she is rebuking that mentality as well, that what are these? So only, foolish women who do not know these facts would be accepting such a person as their husband. And now she has beaten all the arguments in this way and glorifying Lord Shri Krishna. So Lord Krishna is pleased, and he's looking at her very lovingly. And he said that, previously in pacifying her, he identified to her that he just wanted to tease her, so that he wanted to see her face turn, a little bit in anger, her lips twisting. She's throwing sideward glances at Lord Krishna, saying like, what are you saying? What do you mean? I am so-and-so, really? Then you should serve me in this manner. But she didn't show any of those reactions. She responded in a very submissive manner. So Lord Krishna now glorifies her by saying that of all my queens, you are the most devoted. So there is no way I can even think of leaving your company. So he is glorifying her. And now this is where he is glorifying Queen Rukmiṇī by saying that even when, there were so many kings and princesses, they were standing. And she also revealed that, you as a lion, taking the lion's share, you took me in front of all these kings and princes, and, because I never paid attention to them, because you are all in all for me. And Lord Krishna also reciprocating on the same lines, identifying to her that he, he was devoted. He knew that how much she loved me when he received that letter. Even in the presence of all these kings, princes, and their big armies and their opulence and Aishwarya, the treasury and the wealth that they were displaying, and the valor they were displaying, and the looks that they were having. This is where another place we realize that sometimes in the pictures we see that demigods are shown to be very bright-faced, and the demons are shown to be very ugly-faced. It's actually demigods are in a very simple, humble, simple forms. And it's the demons who actually appear to be in very valorous, very attractive forms. So sometimes Maya bewilders the mind of materialist. So here, Lord is saying that even then, you sent a Brahmana with that letter of yours. The first love letter was sent by Queen Rukmiṇī to Lord Vasudeva. And that you were completely devoted to me. I knew that. So right then and there, you had, I had started loving you. When I heard about your great qualities and I received this letter. And even though I was delayed in my travel back, for your marriage, and you were waiting for me and hoping against hope, you had almost given up hope, you were ready to relinquish your body, you were ready to leave your body. Because of the separation, you couldn't feel. Means again, you were feeling that if I don't come, then you will leave your body, you will give up your body. And for hundreds of thousands of births, you will meditate and perform austerity to get me as your husband. So this is the mood of the devotee that Lord Krishna is reciprocating to the mood of Queen Rukmiṇī, that she was feeling such a great anxiety in the absence of Lord Krishna, always remembering his name, form, activities, pastimes. And then Lord Krishna reveals another thing, that when he kidnapped Rukmiṇī Devi, he is revealing to her, then your brother, he challenged me and he fought with me and I defeated him and I continued to disfigure him. Yet at the same time you pleaded but you didn't say a word. You just cried, and further later on in the marriage of Aniruddha. So this is where it's revealed when Lord Krishna is talking about marriage of Aniruddha, which will come in the later chapters. But Shukdev Goswami is revealing this pastime here so that we feel after all these lot of philosophy, talking about the various leelas and how the various queens were married to Lord Shri Krishna, he's bringing those philosophy and the transcendental bliss. Because when somebody tells a story and continues to just go on the storyline, it's very attractive to people who are, it's given that it's very attractive to people who are interested in hearing stories like the ladies, and the Vaishyas and Shudras and mercantile people and, servant kind of people. Yet at the same time, he's speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. So he is also Kshatriyas. They also are interested in hearing about the great valor stories. Yet at the same time, Shukdev Goswami also has a whole assembly of great sages. There is Gautam Rishi there. There is Vyasadev sitting there. There is Vasishtha Muni sitting there. There is Vishwamitra Rishi sitting there. And, there is... there are amazing personalities in this gathering. Sutta Goswami is also sitting there. And so in the presence of all these rishis, he wants to also discuss this sweet pastime, the transcendental pastime, which has a lot of philosophy that all these transcendentalists relish. So he is describing this pastime. And here Lord Krishna is saying that even when it was the marriage of Aniruddha, at that time, there was a verbal conflict that appeared, at the game of dice. And Lord Balaram, picking his gada, he killed Rukmiṇī. Rukmiṇī is the elder brother of Queen Rukmiṇī. And he loved Queen Rukmiṇī very much, even though she had married to Lord Krishna, Lord Vasudev, and he did not like Lord Vasudev. Yet at the same time, because his sister was married, Queen Rukmiṇī was married to Lord Vasudev, he was reciprocating again. We will hear in the next few chapters how he was constantly reciprocating. But at the same time, there was a loving exchange between brother and sister. And in mundane world, we hear the whole world is on one side, your wife's brother is on another side. So that should be like, this is how material world people relate to things. But here, what happens is, even knowing that your elder brother is so loving to you, so disposed of, looking at your as a benefactor, looking at your best interest. Yet at the same time, when Lord Balaram killed him in that, after the marriage ceremony, you did not speak a word. So even Lord Krishna did not speak a word because he did not want to upset Lord Balaram by speaking in favor of Rukmiṇī Devi, and he did not want to upset Rukmiṇī Devi by speaking in favor of Lord Balaram. So he stayed quiet, but he observed as how Queen Rukmiṇī did not utter a word, and he realized that this happened, and so he is revealing to her that I realized it because you could not bear your separation from me. So since you cannot bear your separation from me and are ready to go through so much pain and so much anxiety and so much tribulation, so there is no way that you would ever experience separation, and that you have purchased me with your love. So a devotee purchases Lord Krishna with his, devotion, with love, with gratitude, with service. So that is the mood being expressed by Lord Shri Krishna, that even in this state, you were devoted to me and you could not be a separation. So that's why Lord Vasudeva promises her. And then he thanks her. He says that, please, I cannot repay you. So this is another place where Lord Krishna is revealing his reciprocating that the love of his pure devotee. He says that even in the lifetime of Brahmas and Shiva, he cannot repay the debt he has because of the love of his pure devotee, and especially in this case Queen Rukmiṇī. So of all the queens in Dwarka, Queen Rukmiṇī comes closest to that of the mood of gopis. She comes closest. I didn't say she's at the equal level because there is a Aishwarya Bhav that changes things. And there is a wonderful story of how the queens meet Radharani and the gopis. We'll cover it some other time because of the time factor. We cannot cover it now. So maybe in one of the next few classes we'll cover those pastimes. So Lord Krishna is revealing, so just be pleased with your service. And sometimes even acharyas say that this is a way where Lord Krishna is revealing that, he is the master of everything. So what can he give? But the devotee is giving, what nobody can easily, it's very hard for people to just say. People say, yes, I love you, and people reciprocate in words, but carrying out in action is much strong. Actions speak louder than words. So here, Queen Rukmiṇī is showing by her action that how she cannot bear the separation from Lord Shri Krishna, and she is ready to take, bear any other atrocity, any other punishment, any other, happening that is hurting to her. So she is ready to take on any kind of hurt. And this mood of hers has been revealed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the last verse of Shikshashtaka, where he is saying, "Oh my dear Lord, you are my eternal Lord, no matter even if you ignore me, even if you leave me broken-hearted. But, you are my Lord." So that is the mood of Queen Rukmiṇī that has been exemplified in this chapter. As how Lord Krishna is feeling, Lord Vasudeva is overwhelmed, feeling that Queen Rukmiṇī is so devoted. And this submissive nature comes in her being an expansion of Chandravali, who was an expansion of Radharani. So that has also been revealed by the Acharyas. This is where the chapter ends. And you can understand why Lord Shiva, who is Vaishnavanam Yathashambhu, he is the topmost Vaishnava, is loving to hear this pastime. And how Punthanam, every time when he gives the discourse, the devotees love to hear the same discourse again and again and again and relish these pastimes, tushyanti cha ramanti cha, because we derive eternal peace in our heart and experience transcendental bliss when we hear such wonderful transcendental pastimes, and especially read and study the glorious transcendental qualities of Queen Rukmiṇī. Hare Krishna. This is where the chapter ends. Please join us for Narasimhadev prayers. Kantra Śrīmad Bhagavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki Janant Kauri Vaishnava Vrind ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Bhakta Vigna Vinashina Singhadev Bhagwan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Gauri Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna.